Anyway.
Okay, the stream has started. Let's see who accepts it. Okay, so Twitch has accepted the stream. YouTube has accepted the stream. And Facebook has accepted the stream. Now you want me to send you the link? Vicky?
Sure,
I will
please.
do that.
Yeah. See if I can. I may not be able to use it. Actually, is it possible for you to put it on our... I'm having trouble with my Facebook page. I'm having all kinds of technical issues alongside all the other activity going on. So I wonder, Richard, can you put it in there?
Let me see if I can.
Yeah, because I can't right now. You know, I can't until somebody helps me straighten out my Facebook page. I got hacked, and then luckily I think I got saved, but I still didn't get my access back because they want me to use some app that I haven't used before. You know, just thing after thing.
Okay, so let's
see. Love your rainbows beside you. I know where they're from. Aren't they?
Yeah, that is, the F is for me and the K is for Kennedy.
Oh, okay. Oh, wonderful. Beautiful.
All right, so I go to Western New York Peace Center, correct?
That would be great. Yes.
Let's see if it lets me. Okay, I'm on the Western New York Peace Center page.
Thank you.
And it will not let me. It will not let me put it anywhere. All it will let me do is read what's on your page. So, sorry, I can't do it.
Well, let's just wait and see if she's come. I just realized I need to get one more thing.
Okay.
Okay. Very good. Okay, so you let me know when, and I'll start with the clapping the way we do.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, so I would suggest that you start your timer now. Usually set it for 58, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. Is your timer running?
Yes, it is.
Okay, whenever you're ready, then clap your hands and you're on the air.
Okay. Welcome to Talking Peace with the Western New York Peace Center, being recorded at Think Twice Radio in the home of the future, also the home of our friend and producer, Richard Wicca. Thank you, Richard. And we thank our friends at WBNY, Buffalo's original alternative radio station, 91.3 FM out of Buff State. So thank you, WBNY, for all your service and for your kind sharing of this program. So while I'm thinking about gratitude, I think of our Indigenous brothers and sisters, and in fact, our BIPOC brothers and sisters. First, we are on Haudenosaunee land, especially the Seneca land right now. That is actually the Onondaga or Seneca people who who lost this land actually through violence and trickery, and still been oppressed in so many ways all these years, and for also enslaved people who were enslaved and brought from Africa, and many didn't make it, and those who did have suffered mightily under racism and oppression after being enslaved, and all the suffering that has continued, or the oppression in our various systems. And yet, with all of that, there is just an overwhelming feeling of thankfulness and gratitude for the creation, for Mother Earth, for the Haudenosaunee start off every event with the words that come before all else, which are thanking Mother Earth for giving us everything that we need for a good life in this creation, for the plants, the medicinal plants and the nutritional plants, all the wonderful animals and all the creatures, all the different forms and beauty of our world, in the heavens, in the skies, the sky world, the brother sun and grandmother moon, and the creator, and all the love that makes it all happen. So after that they say Yahweh, and then the people say no. So Yahweh and So we have a great topic this time, which is the Women's March that is coming up. I'm trusting and hoping that most of you have heard about it. May is Victorious Women's Month, and we're going to be talking about the Women's March and all kinds of things around that, and the event, as well as past events and all the work that needs to be done and we're trying to get done. So one of the people who's been just a wonderful Shira in trying to get it done and making it happen in all kinds of ways that ripple and flow is our friend Franchelle Parker. Welcome, Franchelle.
Thank you. Thank you, Queen.
We're so grateful for you and for everyone at Open Bflo. Franchelle is the executive director of Open Bflo, as you all know. Just a wonderful activist, organizer, teacher, and just a friend and ally. I'm so grateful for you, Fran, personally and professionally, and just in every kind of way. Welcome and thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for all of the work that you've been doing, not just in this season of resistance, but dedicating and living a life completely dedicated to the empowerment of other folks. And that's the legacy that you've built throughout this lifetime, and you continue to do. So thank you for everything that you've done, not just for this Women's March, but throughout your lifetime. We're grateful for you.
Well, you're making my heart sing. And we do hope to have Ann Converso joining us. So something is detaining her. She may join midway through the show. And
Okay.
we're very grateful for Ann. And she knows you, by the way. So do you know who she is?
Yes, I do.
You do. Good. So
yeah, before Open Bflo, I was a union organizer. So
that's what I knew. That's what I told her. And she's like, wait a minute. Because first she didn't right away. And then she was like, wait a minute. Oh, yes, I do know her. Of course I know her. Of course I know her. And then she was very clear. So anyway, so she is going to try and join us. She did a wonderful job. We just had the Bflo United March, which was such a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
The biggest one that we've had in Bflo, including the Women's March, which held that record up until recently. But anyway, so more to follow on that. But the big thing I want to do before anything, what we usually do is we think when we're, for the given topic, and this being the Women's March, her rights are human rights, being the name of the show and our theme. So when we think about that theme, what are the values that we think of So, yeah.
What are the values
What are
that
the values that you think of in connection with this? In connection with with the Women's March and women's issues, her rights or women's rights?
any movement of resistance or liberation, regardless of what the particular topic is, I always lead with love. And love has to be the center of everything that we do, because we know that the work that we're starting today, we might not see it take root, but the seeds that we're planting will make intergenerational change. And I have to believe that. Otherwise, I think a lot of us would go crazy in this moment, but know that these seeds of love, these seeds of resistance, they will take root, and that we are building a stronger foundation for the next generation, even though we might have to fight and scrap during this generation, but we will make an impact. So that's the first value that I think about. I think about access. When we talk about this wordsmithing that we're doing, is it equality? We can't say equity. There's a list of no words. We don't want to say DEI. We don't. But I believe a shared American value should always be equal access. And looking at the hurdles that are before us, especially for Black women, in regards to access to Black maternal health, and the disparities in Black maternal death rates in this nation. So this isn't a game of wordsmithing. It's really, these are lives that we're talking about. And love and access has to be at the center of what we're trying to communicate in the march.
You're not kidding. And love is usually one that I always have to mention. And you're so right. Activism comes out of love. It's because we care about what's happening to our people, to others, and to the creation for that matter, because there's all of the creation. So the other one I think of that is very related to access, and it's maybe it might come before access, is truth. Just because we have to get at the truth of what's really happening, because people don't even know sometimes, or acknowledge, or actually in this day and age, boy, do we have a lot of people pretending or lying, just plain flat out making things up, lying. So truth is important, the truth of what's going on, and that means listening, but also it means integrity, having that integrity to tell the truth.
What also comes up for me, relationship building and trust.
Yes.
Because many times when we're talking about what is the truth, and with so much misinformation out in the media and out into the community, that it's hard to even tell what's myth from truth at this point. And so I think for us, on I believe the right side of justice and equity, we have to spend the intentional time in developing those relationships and trust. And when the community looks to us, they should know that without a doubt, the information that they're getting from us is tried and true, that is fact checked, is accurate, and they can stand on that truth. But sometimes I think that we haven't built as a movement significant trust in the broader community, and so folks are questioning, where should I go for information? So definitely putting trust building and relationship building at that collective value that we should all be building towards too.
So hopefully we're going to get there. I know we're trying everything, and those values are so critical, and they're really embedded in everything we're doing with the Women's March. So I would just say, when we look at the history of the Women's March, I feel basically good about that history. It started as a reaction to Trump 1.0. So in the first Trump administration, the first Women's March was the day after his inauguration, and it was mammoth here in Bflo. It was almost 4,000, and that was unheard of. Right after the election, there was over 1,000 in the street. Then with that one, there was almost 4,000. Somewhere between 3,500 and 4,000. And the next year, almost 5,000. And then we had some years where we had 65-mile-an-hour gale force winds and some other things going on.
Right.
But so as you know, and of course you've been at some of the women's marches, right? And spoken at them. But I also want to say one of the things that we're recognizing in this women's march is, the women's movement has some very rocky foundations, so there was struggles, and there was courage and bravery. There was racism, and there was me firstism, and there was, people just, doing the wrong thing, not seeing how our that splintering off that happens is hurting us, not helping us. Trying to get yours first. So the racism goes so deep. You don't need me telling you. I have learned it the hard way myself over the years of just how deep it goes. So one of the things that we're doing with this Women's March is that we're gonna start off in Lafayette Square, and then we have our Black our sisters of color, our Indigenous sisters, all of the people that need to be recognized. And then there's so many victims. So with women have been victims, we certainly have, and we are right now. We don't have our full rights, but also with intersectionality, people have it a lot worse than white women do. Yeah. So that's something that we're going to very much focus on, as well as all the rights that we all need.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. One, I was looking at the lineup that we have, and I recently seen the movie Sinners, and I don't want to give a spoiler alert, but it touches on the need of music, art, and culture within any space. So I was, I love that we're centering the voices of our artists and our poets in what we're doing, because art and culture and heritage preservation has to be at the foundation, even though that's the number one attack that's happening right now. It has to be at the foundation. It has to be the soul of the movement. So I was excited to see the lineup of talent that you have in place too.
And there's so many. I mean, we're very excited that Darylyn Spruce is going to come. I don't know if you saw that. Oh, yes, you did. Of course you did. Mm-hmm. That she's going to come, and she may bring a whole singing troupe with her from Cattaraugus Reservation. But she herself is such a strong singer, and she's won a lot of awards for the work that she does, the wonderful singing that she does. We are trying, I know, by the way, I just need to say Anne is trying to get in, and I'm trying to let her in, but I can't. So if you can see that I seem to be trying to do some things, I am. So I'm gonna, we could just add her voice in. That might help. Maybe I should try that. Here, let's see if that works.
It might not. So what's the issue?
What?
She doesn't have the Zoom link?
Because I'm not seeing her as trying to get in.
Okay.
But I'll say trying. Oh. So she's going to try again. But anyway, so I apologize to our listeners for being a little distracted while we're trying to get things. There's a lot of moving parts. And one thing we know is right now we're in such a crazy time. So a lot of these problems are not new problems. All the things that we just mentioned. they're not new problems.
Mm-hmm.
But things have just gotten on such another level of chaos. So I do feel like crisis equal to opportunity. So that makes me hopeful that we will get further, but it does mean it's more stressful and more juggling as it's all going on, because uncertainty is a big stressor, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I know I feel it. I certainly feel it. And you listen to the news every day, and it's very pronounced.
Well, yes, but we have to take control over even the small things that we have the ability to take control over. Otherwise, we will be consumed with anxiety and stress, and that's the
Right,
true disabler, right? If you need to take a break from social media, if you need to move your body and wait, like we're coming into spring, so get out and walk,
right,
get to nature, breathe in fresh air. And I'm saying this and it may sound very basic, but my blood pressure had completely skyrocketed.
right,
And I think I'm just holding all of this fear and anxiety and what's going to happen next, and will we have a public education system, and da 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 da. We have to take it one day at a time.
right,
We have to take care of ourselves and our bodies. Our this movement needs us, especially women.
right,
We need our mommies. We need our leaders. We have to check in on each other. We can't assume that everybody's okay. Everybody is not okay.
right,
And we're seeing an increase of autoimmune diseases, high blood pressure, stroke, heart attack, disproportionately with women. And so like this, I hope when we talk about the values that we hold, and sometimes like self-care sometimes feels like a little cheesy. You go home and have some popcorn and relax and light your candles. No, that's not the type of self-care. Like if you want to be on the, like, to force yourself to get up and get those 10,000 steps a day, get your exercise in, reclaim your mind, mindfulness.
right.
We can't afford to lose anyone. We need every possible soldier that we could get in this time. So we need you.
We
Don't
do.
don't let the news take over your mind.
No, right, right. No, well, the thing that helps me, one of the things that helps me is just thinking that it is a spiritual struggle,
Mhm.
and thinking that we're not the first people to undergo it. Back to what we just said,
Yeah.
for Black people, for Indigenous people, and actually for women, for all these different marginalized groups, it is not new. So it's a matter of degree, so there are different degrees of how um, there's all those things going on, and so we're just trying to keep our balance, and that is a spiritual struggle. And
Yeah.
like other people in other times, in Nazi Germany, in different situations. Actually, we just watched, the Peace Center just uh, uh, teamed up with Burning Books to show the movie A Force More Powerful. And I recommend to
Hmm.
people just to go, if you duck go it, or Google it if you must, you will get the link. You can, it's freely available. There's no paying for it or anything. It's freely available on a nonviolent site, because they want people to know. And so when you watch it, it really is thrilling to see, people in these very bad situations with dictators and oppression and all kinds of terrible situations. It was the British in India, it was the apartheid in South Africa, and the civil rights movement in this country, the Danish under the Nazis. So they have 6 different examples, and Solidarność, which I'm not gonna, and the other being Chile, but that the Polish example was all about labor. Speaking about labor organizers. By the way, I'll also mention that we did hear from Anne is having her husband's having some medical issues going on right now that she's trying to sort out. So that's one thing. I don't
Okay.
know if she's going to make it or not. So there's the timing and the issues and all of that. So it's back to a lot of juggling, and it's back to what you said about the stress is the, the body keeps the score, right? So we have
Yes.
to, I mean, I know I feel it in a way. I'm a social worker for a reason. So it's my own intergenerational trauma from my dad being German Jew in Nazi Germany. It's my mom's survivor guilt. It's my, the other things that I've dealt with. So we all, but really almost everybody in this day and age, I'm going to say, our alert systems are dysfunctional for our current society. So fight, flight, freeze is not necessarily, I mean, some of those things sometimes help, but many times our solutions are not from either any of those things. And not only that, we have, if a system is on all the time, it's not work, it won't be working. So we're all under so much stress and our alert systems are on all the time. It's why people don't feel good. And it's one of the reasons for as much dysfunction as we have going on in this society. So trying to, do those things, like you said, the deep, slow breathing, meditating, walking, really respecting ourselves and our bodies, really doing the things that we need to do to refresh, to take care of ourselves is so critical.
And
then,
as a part of Black culture, soul food is a part of our culture,
right,
and making sure that comfort food doesn't become our diet.
right,
And with organizers and labor unions, like let's get some pizzas and buffalo wings and fill it. Like we have to, if we're going to survive this moment, we have to make some very deep and intentional shifts in how we show up. And it's not going to be easy. Like our office is, despite Tops opening back up, still in a food desert. And
right,
most
right,
individuals that live on the east side are not in proximity to fresh food and
right.
vegetables and fruit. And so how do you do that? How do you do that? How do you infuse that into a movement? And again, that word access, where we're not just talking about cliche words. We're really talking about like, okay, a person's inability to provide those basic needs that we need for survival. But despite that, we have to check in our people. We have to make sure that folks are okay mentally, physically, spiritually. Thank you for bringing that up. I have an app called Exhale that
What's
is
it called?
Exhale, like
Oh, exhale. Right, right,
yes.
right. Yeah.
And it's for all women, but it's the creator is a Black woman, and it talks about cortisol levels in your body, and that you might not think that you're under stress, but decision making. If you're a community leader and you're making decisions all day, that's stress on your body. You might
You're
think,
not
oh, okay,
kidding.
well, I'm okay today. No, you're not.
No, well, I'll tell you, I've got, so there, I can feel it very tangibly. I mean, I can feel it as soon as I start hearing certain things. Sometimes I say, I can't hear anything more right now, because I'll feel it physically, the stress level, the cortisol and adrenaline pumping, you know. So anyway, so we need, one of the things we need is that people power, and is the community, is the gathering. And this is where the Women's March will be a really powerful thing. So it's not just for women. And one of the things that we've often done is when we've done the Women's March, it's really about all of our issues. So, and we just did a talking piece where we said women's issues approximately equal to everyone's issues. Why? Because we love our families. I mean, it's our brothers, our children, our grandparents, or our parents. Our neighbor, the people that we care about. So women, that all the issues like housing is a woman's issue. Hood feminism, right? All of those issues are our issues because we have to deal with them, and because we have to deal with them for ourselves and our families and for the people that we love. And also, we know that women being in respected and having their rights and appropriate power is the biggest indicator of how well things are going in a country. So when women are well educated and well respected, the countries flourish. When they're not, they don't. The worse off the women are, the worse off the country is. That's what we know. So those things are all true. And yet, women, we have our own issues. And even in this very society, and especially now when they're trying to not let us have control over our own bodies, shutting down Roe v. Wade, all of the threats to our voting rights. I don't know how much you've heard about, if you've changed your name and they're going to try and make you have to go jump through hoops to prove that you are who you say you are, because we've been foolish enough to take or I shouldn't say foolish enough, but when we take our, which I did take it, but then when I got divorced, I didn't take it back, my maiden name right away, but I did take it back. So anyway, so I hope that would be okay. But there's real misogyny going on right now at the highest levels is a very scary thing.
Mm-hmm.
So that's part of what we're also going to be talking about. Actually, I want to say Vanetta Rhodes, Halima, her poem. This is what she told me. It's I'm pretty sure I've got this right. You, hers, no, you, her, us, her, or no, I'm not sure about that part. What the pronouns are.
Everybody just come and hear it. Hear her say it.
But the big people are going to hear it. And the big thing they're going to hear is the government is in my uterus is the theme. And it will repeat. So that is powerful and important, because the big thing, no matter what you think about abortion, is one thing is, what is a bunch of men, in their, ivory towers, and mostly, over, into the octogenarian, our aged people, aged old white men are making these decisions. Why?
Just mind your business.
Right.
If everybody just minded their own business, I could care less if men buy Viagra. I could care less what you choose to do with your body, because guess what? It's your body.
Right.
As long as you're not violating me, that's your body.
Right.
And so, and trying to, I think what's dangerous is when we misuse Christian identity, when we misuse spiritual identity and use that to cloak overt oppression.
Mm-hmm.
People of faith, believers, Christians, I believe that this is our moment to reclaim what it means to be a follower of the light, a follower of the way. For anyone that reads the Bible I read, I see no indication of oppressive ways of Jesus Christ. And so this might be a reckoning for people that claim that they know the word, to actually go back and reread the word. And so, I think it's a time I hope to see our churches, our faith-based institutions because we're not just talking about one or two issues. It's really the holistic, the intersectionality of all the ways that women need to live full and productive and thriving lives, not just surviving. Like I want to thrive. I want to laugh. I want to have joy in my life.
Right.
I want my girls to go to college and become scientists and solve all the things I couldn't solve, all of those things. And as creations of God, that's what he wants for us. He wants us to live full and thriving lives. But how the direction that things are going, we're going in the opposite direction.
And that's why we're having this march. So I want to tell people, first of all, you are welcome to come. You can find things on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram, and on the Western New York Peace Center's website, WNYPeace.org. But anyway, just to let people know that it's May 17th, which May is Victorious Women's Month. That's Deidre was the one who started us doing it in May. And so May as Victorious Women's Month it's better weather for us to do it in. So we won't have probably, certainly won't have 65-mile-an-hour gale force winds like we have had in March and January. But anyway, so then we'll be 2:00 in Lafayette Square. That's the one opposite the library.
Mm-hmm.
We'll be going up Broadway, facing traffic on the sidewalk because we don't have a permit.
Okay.
So unless we're given the street because there's just so many people out there. But anyway, we have every right to come. We have every right to walk, and we have every right to have our signs and to assemble. That is all in our right. And so we'll follow the traffic laws, which will be a challenge, but we'll do it. And then we will we'll go past Bflo, Colored Musicians Club, across Michigan, and then go down the African American Heritage Corridor there, Michigan Street. On Michigan Street, go past the Michigan Street Baptist Church and the Nash House, and then we'll head down Clinton to the auditorium. And that's where you and Ann will be, holding down the fort in the auditorium where the main program will be. And we'll have speakers and singers and all kinds of other things. And then we'll have, for people who can't fit in, because I do expect that we'll have more people than the 300 that can fit in the auditorium. So people will be able to go to a live art demonstration up in the Ring of Knowledge, and or up to the second floor of the library. That's the first floor of the library. And then in the second floor of the library, Bflo Public Schools is going to have an art exhibit that people can see. And we're hoping some of the artists might be up there to talk about their work. And then lastly, people can also go back to Niagara Square where there'll be open mic. So we're excited about that program. And the part I didn't say, I was starting to say, and I think I might have said it before we started recording, that at the beginning, after we get welcomed by our Indigenous sisters and they talk something about the matrilineal society that they have, that we will have a moment of silence. First, because the massacre happened just 3 years and 3 days before that. And so to remember and to grieve the people and to grieve all the people that have died in violence. And that includes Robert Brooks and so many people, if it's in the carceral system, in the street, in domestic violence, in war crimes, in Gaza, in so many parts of the world. And I want to say, when they say, violence doesn't have a socioeconomic category, and they say it doesn't have a race, which I'm not sure about that. But anyway, we could talk about that. But the one thing that we really are clear on is that it does have a gender. And it doesn't mean all men are violent. It doesn't mean all
Right.
women are nonviolent. But however, the vast majority of violence is coming from men. And so this is where women, we are so critical and crucial to making those changes to a different way of doing things. So anyway, so we're gonna have a moment, and then Ebony White, whose uncle Hayward Patterson was killed, was murdered in the massacre. She's gonna have a poem for us, so she'll do that poem, and we'll do all of that before we start marching.
Okay.
And we'll have lots of peacekeepers too. So if anybody's interested in being a peacekeeper, getting a peacekeepers training, we do have one that's going on in on this coming Saturday, the 3rd, or if you're listening to this, it will have already taken place. But we'll get a training video. We already have one. We'll put up on the Peace Center website. We have to do that and make that available because we just want to make sure that people are safe during the march. That's one thing that's really going to be critical. But I'm excited, and I'm excited that Fran, I guess I did say that you're emceeing. You and Ann Converso are going to be the MCs in the auditorium.
Let's go. Let's go.
Yes, it'll be great. It'll be great. And Fragrance of Ya is going to sing, is one of the singers. Oh, and the phenomenal Ladies of Rhythm are also going to provide some music. That's Vernice Turner and Sirlis Adams. So I don't know if people have heard them in Freedom Stories or other drumming and singing. They've done a beautiful job.
And I just really want to encourage everyone to come out. Open Bflo, we've shared it on our social media. I've been taking a small break from social media, but I'm going to get back on so that I can share this out. And even if you're listening to this and you've never been to a rally or a march or a protest, let this be your first time out. This moment, we need to activate everyone. And you don't have to get up on a mic and make a fiery speech. Just show up. Meet one new person that you didn't know before. Make one commitment. We're just asking people just to make small commitments.
Right.
And do something different. Do something different. Come meet Vicky. Vicky's incredible.
Well, I might be a floater. I think I'm going to be a floater because there's going to be a lot going on, and I'm trying to fight the tendency to want to say what I want to say about all the activity that we'll have, because it will be, let me just say, it will be highly energizing, and there's all the variety of things to do. So from the auditorium, also we'll have a place for people to put flyers for other people to get. Men are welcome. This is not just, all of us are in this together. It makes me think of this one Indian woman I met, and that means from India woman, that I was at the Women's Biodiversity Conference. It was so wonderful. And she said, I don't know that I feel completely comfortable about the all women thing. She said, because, as a bird, for a bird, it needs two wings. That's how it has to go. And also we do have all the other choices in terms, or choices or identities too. So trans people, two-spirited people, different genders and sexual preference and races, and just every age, every stage, everybody is welcome. And we are truly all connected. So our rights are all connected. So one of the things that we were talking about, how our immigrant brothers, sisters, and others have been othered, have been deported, have been, massively oppressed. That actually, one of the things I'm working with Justice for Migrant Families on the phone line for Batavia, and it's it's very scary what's going on. So one of the things that was mentioned is, and maybe we'll read this Martin Niemöller quote. First they came for the trade unionists, and I didn't say anything because I wasn't a trade unionist. And then they came for the socialists, but I didn't say anything because I wasn't a socialist. And then they came for the Jews, ... And then when they finally came for me, there was nobody left to stand up for me. So this is the way it happened. So they start off, and I want to say, as the daughter of a German Jew Holocaust survivor who had to live with a 15-year-old because he was such a radical, even in 1933. So that was early years. But the current administration is using anti-Semitism and using Jews as a tool to sort of get the thin end of the wedge of the oppression and the just unbelievable amount of repression and oppression that's coming in terms of media, in terms of our
that's right.
Our free speech, all of it. And even our freedom, our freedom from getting incarcerated, our habeas corpus, right? That we cannot be held with no reason at length. But it's happening to people. And it's going to happen more unless we stand up. And that is the reason for getting out in the street. So I really want to recommend that people see that movie, A Force More Powerful, because if there's one thing you'll get out of it, it is about nonviolent resistance. However, one of the things we also talked about is that, so first of all, what is violence is something that we need to think about, whether, property damage is ever, either acceptable or when does it become violence? When is it violence? Right? But the big thing in the movie is that it's the people power, is that the people standing together and especially getting out in the street, or just the other one is the work stoppages. We were just talking about this, the strikes, general strike, when we, if we don't get what we need, if we don't get it, if we don't stop it, shut it down. We can shut it down. When people just, are not going to have what's going on, will not permit it. Silence is complicity. So don't be silent. Come out and join us. Come out and join us on Saturday, May 17th, 2 p.m. in Niagara Square. We'll be done by 4 or maybe 4:30 if it runs long. Okay. Library closes at 5, so we will be out of there, lock, stock, and barrel by like 4:45. We promised that. So anyway, but it'll be a very special day, and it will really charge people up. We also hope that people will sign up for the Western New York Peace Center Talking Peace News, which is about weekly, and there's so much going on. Or go to the Peace Center calendar, the community calendar. Go to WNYPeace.org. We have a community calendar that is, not just with our events. Some of them, are our events, but also our allies and partners, their events, of which there are so many. I mean, we're taping this on Wednesday. Tomorrow, May 1st, there are 2 protests going on that I know of. One is in front of the ICE building at noon, and then there's another in Niagara Square at 3. So OCAB is the leader of the first, and Power to the People is the leader of the second, and the Peace Center is supporting both of those as well as we can. And so are the many peacekeepers that we've trained. We just trained 55 peacekeepers.
Oh, wow.
For the Bflo United March, which is one of the reasons it went so well. It was very well organized. And I think the peacekeepers, and that's not the peacemakers. The peacemakers, all due respect to the peacemakers who, work. They're sort of an intermediary between the police and the populace at times. They do some work at the library. I mean, I just saw a bunch of peacemakers today when we were at the library. So the peacemakers, and they do wear, the a yellowish, goldish, yellowish shirt that says they're peacemakers. So the peacemakers are welcome, but actually the peacekeeping is going to be done by peacekeepers that we've trained. And actually Vivian Waltz and Vivian, who's now on the Western New York Peace Center board, we did the original training for the peacemakers, by the way.
Okay.
Way back when, in the way back when. Now they do their own, but yeah, when they first started up. Yeah, so it's going to be excellent, and like we said, we're not going to be able to fit everybody in the auditorium. I'm sure of that, because I do believe we're going to have a good turnout. Oh, and I want to mention to people too, you don't have to pay for street parking on the weekends if you don't know that. In Bflo on the weekend, unless it's very particular, like sometimes maybe Taste of Bflo, or there are certain events where they make people start paying for parking, but that is the rare time. That is the rare time. Certainly this weekend is not one of them. So your street parking is free. And there's ramps that people can go to, et cetera, as well. But I'm excited. Oh, and we have a youth contingent. So I wanted to tell you that above all. So I could put you in touch with Kelly Cooper, because the youth contingent, she's getting some youth participation together. So I know you have some youth that might be interested.
We do.
That might be interested.
And we also have our Emerging Leaders Program.
Yes, I know.
Youth Action and our Emerging Leaders Program. We have our Eco Collective, our grassroots leaders that have been working to build our ecology campus. So tons of people that can support and come out and all of that. So that's my challenge.
Oh,
we need to see some Open Bflo t-shirts out there.
I am such a fan of your Emerging Leaders Program, because you just have this wonderful, stellar lineup of all the people who've come through that program and learned so much and are out in the community doing all kinds of great work. I could name lots of them. Some of them have been on our board. Some of them need to be on our board. Think about that. By the way, that's another conversation to be had, not on the air, but just planting a little seed there, because that's another thing that we need to talk about. Yeah, and so we really need to build up our ability to do mass mobilization. That's a lot of what this is about. Normalizing getting out on the street and building up our ability to communicate and cooperate such that we can use the people power as a real lever for social change, because we are in a dangerous position now. The things are not okay. Not that they were ever very okay. There's been all kinds of dysfunction and, systemic racism and all kinds of injustices, and especially certainly economic injustice, environmental injustice, gender injustice of all kinds. But we've gotten onto a different level of danger that is just so egregious. So now is when we really need to activate, while we still can, and push back hard. So
and I know for a lot of people, maybe not the typical activists that are listening, but for everyday people, moms picking up their kids from school, aunties, grandmas that have never done anything like this in the past. You've been hustling to take care of your family all of this time. There's a place for you and what is being built in this moment. And we desperately need all folks. If you make really good peach cobbler, come and make peach cobbler. If you're an artist, come and hum in the background. I cannot sing, right? So whatever talent, skill you have, we want to meet people where they're at. You do not have to be a seasoned activist and community change agent. We are really calling in all women, all folks who identify as women. If you've ever loved a woman in your life, you get to this march.
Right.
You get to this march, and in this moment, we need to do all that we can do to protect the future of our little girls, our babies, our cousins, even if you don't have children.
Right.
Get to this march and connect with a change agent, connect with an organization that's doing work. It can't just be an one-off. You tune into this show on a regular basis. Learn about what's happening in the community on a regular basis, and just start showing up.
Yep. We need people to show up. And here's the other thing. It is fun. It's fun. It's fun to, it makes me think of, I don't know if you ever heard of Molly Ivins. She was an activist, a columnist, a reporter, just a wonderful woman, a Texan, and very progressive, right? Texan. And she tells a story, about this elderly activist, and he's on his on his deathbed really, and so one of his friends is with him and says, now at the end, what do you want people to know? What do they need to know from you? He said, tell them how much fun we had. Tell them how much fun we had. It is fun to do the right thing. It's time is always right to do right, and it is fun to be with like-minded people. Feeling your strength and power together, the solidarity, the community.
Yeah.
It is fun to chant together, to sing together, to be together. To look at each other's sides. I love that one, especially for the Women's March. You're guaranteed to see this one. I'm with her, her. That one. There are so many, all the creative signs. People have so many creative signs, actually. If we could have if you want to put your people on something, if we could have a sign making, I can't add that onto my list right now, but people just feel free to make your own kind of a sign. Use your imagination. Any materials. People use parts of boxes. Anything. It doesn't have to be something very fancy or anything. But all that creativity. Oh, and I mean, we will have that live art exhibit, which will include a audience part or public participation to a certain extent too. And we will have an open mic part so that, as Fran said, you're not required, you don't need to feel like you need to say anything or do something particular. But some people will want to and have a lot to share. It would be so great to hear from really everyone, or if we had a smaller group, to have just give people, and even with a large group, it'll happen on its own, that, talk to the person who's standing next to you that you don't know. Get to know them a little bit. Just that building of solidarity, so that back to, we need the communication channels and the cooperation to be able to mobilize ourselves. That mass mobilization is going to be critical to our having the power that we need to protect each other. And and like I said, that force more powerful really drives that point home in such a beautiful way. So I think that is happening. The Bflo United March was like that. So much of the work that's being done is like that. So the Emerging Leaders Program is building that network. The environmental work that you're doing is building that network, right? The the work that the peacekeeper trainings that we've been doing is building that network. The people coming out, by the thousands is building that network. And so I just, I can just, urge people to come out and to, don't be afraid. You'll find a parking space.
Yeah, that's right.
Or take, park somewhere else and take the T down. So it's going to be, or the T, I know.
Or you can check out Eastside Bike Club. Eastside Bike Club, you
Club.
can
Yeah.
get a free e-bike.
Those talented people who know how. I barely know how to ride bike. I'd be a danger.
I didn't say I was on one. I was just offering it up.
I'm good at walking. I love to walk. I mean, yeah, my sister was in a wheelchair, so I stayed away from wheels really, other than pushing a wheelchair for a very long time. But so anyway, but bike down, yep. Take the bus or take the subway, or carpool. That's another good idea. Do carpool, because then you bring a friend, you're with people, keep track of each other, and also less parking spaces to be needed. So, yeah. Well, anyway, I want to say I am so grateful for you, Fran. Always. It out of your busy schedule. I know you've been away. You've been so crazy busy, and in spite of it, you found time to be on this show and to work on that article with me and to do all the things that you're doing. I really couldn't be more grateful. And all the people who are working on the Women's March, of which there are many. We have, I didn't even mention our co-sponsors, so you can find that list on the Facebook page for sure. So we've got, well, depending on how you're counting, all kinds of, dozens or scores of co-sponsors, and we're very grateful that you're one of them. But you're a shero to me, or Shira to me. So anyway, it's been great.
We appreciate everything that you're doing, that you've done, your visionary leadership, and your steadfast commitment to keep us all united when sometimes we don't want to be united. And you keep pushing and you keep showing up to make sure that we continue marching forward united together.
Well, we're going to do it. And I want to say, Fran, I love you too. And this is Talking Peace, and together we've been talking peace in truth and love. The wrap. Thanks a jillion. Yeah, You're so good. You're so good. You really are. So there it is. Thank you, Richard. So
Richard.
It didn't work out with Anne at all. She was trying to get in, but then she had this situation she was dealing with her husband too. So then, and also it was timing. So she tried, but then also she wasn't still in the waiting room. She went and did some other things. So when I tried to let her in, and then I asked Richard, you know how it gets. So it's crazy, but you are faithful. I'll tell you.
No worries.
You're so good. So anyway, well, so we want to let you get home to your family.
Okay.
Okay. Blessings.
Okay.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Richard. Thanks so much, Franchelle. Big hugs and love. And to your family too. Bye for now. Okay, Richard.
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, so what happened, she said,